What's going on, y'all? Thank you so much for checking out my channel. I am Sunbellme, and today I am back with What If, and this is things you were lied to about space. I really enjoyed the last video that we checked out. It was really informative, and turns out I was right. So I would like to see what we were kind of lied to about space. I think this would be kind of interesting. If you like what you see, let me know down below. If you don't like what you see, let me know down below as well. Just try to be nice. I'm trying to grow. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Our sun looks nothing like this.
What?
It looks more like this.
I'm 28 years old.
Nothing like this. It...
Bull crap. What? I'm 28. Bull crap. No. The sun is a yellow red ball of fire and gas. Probably not fire. Probably just really hot, but it's whatever.
looks more like this.
What?
If you've always thought our sun was a bright yellow ball of fire, you were wrong.
What?
For starters, it's not yellow, it's green.
For how?
Scientists determine the temperature of a star by the color spectrum it emits.
Okay.
Each color has its own wavelength, and astronomers measure those wavelengths to tell how hot a star is.
Okay.
Cooler stars appear red, the hottest of the stars look blue.
Okay.
Our sun emits most of its energy at a wavelength that's close to green. But because it also emits other wavelengths, all these colors mix together, and your eyes see this vibrant mixture as white. That is, if you look at the sun from the International Space Station. From here
Really?
on Earth, the sun looks yellow because our atmosphere is really good at scattering blue light. And with all that blue wavelength gone,
Green.
all the other colors combine into
Really?
yellow. If our star was actually yellow, it would be about 800 degrees Celsius cooler, our solar system's habitable zone would shrink, and Earth would become a frozen, lifeless rock. But
That is so trippy to think about. Because, I mean, you always know about, like, different color flames and stuff like that being different temperatures. So, wow. That...
but that's not the
don't
only
like being
thing you
lied
were
to.
wrong about.
Okay.
The sun is hot, but it's not on fire. Burning
Hey,
is a
we talked about that in the intro. It was on fire, but probably not. It's probably just hot, but... What?
chemical reaction of oxygen with fuel.
Okay.
Like most stars out there, our sun is a ball of gas, mostly made up of hydrogen and helium.
I knew that.
It doesn't have much oxygen in it. Instead,
Okay.
it works more like a gigantic nuclear reactor, constantly fusing hydrogen atoms to create helium inside its core. This process releases enormous amounts of energy, and that's why the sun is so scorching hot. Speaking of setting things on fire, let me tell you about explosions in space. Yeah,
Okay.
these aren't real. A spaceship can't go down in a
Really?
violent blast because there's no air out there in space. No air means no oxygen, and no oxygen, well,
Oh.
as you already know, means no fire. Sorry, Star Wars fans. It
So
may
all of
seem
that's
that there are
bullcrap.
too many stars in the
Wow.
night sky for you to count, but actually, you can. Although scientists at Harvard have
No, you
already done it
can't.
for you. According to the Yale Bright Star Catalog, there are 9,110 stars that you can see from Earth with the naked eye. Try to count them all for yourself. Movies
How-
make it look like you need to be
How would you know? There's no way. I mean, unless you took a picture of the stars and like you just drew out all of them, or like put little dots and counted like each time you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, I just no. I mean, they said at one time that you can see, so maybe. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. They're scientists. I'm an idiot.
an extremely skilled pilot to navigate the asteroid belt, but that's not true. The asteroid belt isn't some thick obstacle course of death.
Really?
It does have trillions of space rocks that range in size from space dust to a quarter the size of the moon. About
Whoa.
100,000 of these asteroids are over 1 kilometer wide, but they're very spread out.
Okay.
The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter is 225 million kilometers across.
Wow.
That's 1.5 times the distance between Earth and the Sun.
Wow.
And this spreads the space rocks millions of kilometers apart.
Okay.
It's almost impossible for a spacecraft to collide with one. If you were thrown out of the airlock into the vastness of space, you wouldn't turn into a popsicle right away. That's because to freeze, there has to be a heat transfer from space to your body. But heat or cold doesn't travel very fast in the vacuum of space. Your body would freeze,
Really?
but it would take hours to happen. And by then, you'd be long dead from something else. And
Not
no,
breathing.
you wouldn't explode in space either. You would inflate, though. That's
Oh,
because
what?
nitrogen in your bloodstream.
You inflate? Okay, sorry, I paused it. What?
You would inflate, though.
Really?
That's because nitrogen in your bloodstream would gather into bubbles and puff you up to double your size. But that's not what's going to kill you. It's the lack of oxygen.
Of course.
After
yeah, not being
15
able to
seconds
breathe.
in
That would make
space,
sense.
your brain wouldn't get enough oxygen through your blood, and you'd
Mm-hmm.
lose consciousness. After
After
2
15
minutes
seconds,
in
huh?
space, your other organs would start to shut down one by one. Game over.
That always just gives me the creeps just thinking about your body just slowly shutting down. Ugh. I don't know.
Space seems incredibly cold, but it's not. In reality, space doesn't have a temperature at all. Temperature is defined by the speed at which particles move and the amount of energy they have. In the true vacuum of space, there are no particles to move around.
Okay.
That's why the vacuum is temperatureless. Of
Huh.
course, outer space isn't a perfect vacuum. It still has particles and radiation to produce heat. Some areas of space are actually really hot, like the space around stars.
That would make sense.
But the further away you get from stars, the more spread out the particles are, making those areas of space pretty chilly.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, if I put my hand to my mouth and breathe out, the air is hot. But then if I move my hand further away from my mouth, the air doesn't feel as hot. It feels cold. So that would make sense. And then I guess if I move my hand far enough away from my body and then just went, I guess my hand wouldn't feel it. And I guess that would that technically be the vacuum that you wouldn't feel that transfer of heat or cold since you're so far away from the original source? Am I kind of making that analogy right? I feel like I just went real big brain, but I'm an idiot. So there's probably a science major that could be watching this being like, dude, shut up. And hey, all right.
What the particles are, making those areas of space pretty chilly. Some dense gas clouds can get as cold as minus...
Oh, and I had a question. So if it's temperatureless out there, could you technically just go in something that would give your body oxygen? So if you just went in something that just surrounded your head and an oxygen tank without going in the full sleeves and everything, like the full suit, if you just had oxygen delivered, would you live since it's temperatureless? I don't know. Someone let me know.
pretty chilly. Some dense gas clouds can get as cold as minus 263 degrees Celsius.
Oh, is that all?
Mercury is
Oh,
the closest
okay.
planet to the sun, but surprisingly, it's not the hottest.
What?
It is extreme, though. During the day, the surface temperature reaches 430 degrees.
Oh, is that
And
it? Yeah.
at night,
Just
it
400.
drops
Yeah.
to minus 180.
What?
But the most hellish planet in the solar system is Venus. You
Really?
see, Mercury doesn't have an atmosphere to retain all that heat from the sun. The Venusian atmosphere, on the other hand,
Venusian,
is very
that's cool. I
thick,
like
and
that.
it creates a greenhouse effect.
Oh.
It's like global warming on steroids.
steroids. Ooh.
And it makes Venus a hot hell with a surface temperature of about 475 degrees.
Wow.
Our entire solar system isn't
I'm sitting here complaining about where I live, where it gets 118. Sheesh.
just sitting in one spot in our galaxy.
What?
It's Hertum.
What did you just? Did this man just say our solar system isn't sitting in one spot? Is that what just? Are we moving as a solar system?
5 degrees.
What?
Our entire solar system isn't just sitting in one spot in our galaxy. It's hurtling through space at 220 kilometers per second.
What?
That's 7 times faster than the speed that Earth revolves around the sun. Our solar system takes 230 million years to make one orbit around the Milky Way. Yeah, the last time we were in the same location we are now, Earth had one supercontinent and the dinosaurs were just starting to roam around. Planets do not orbit around the sun. All the things in our solar system are in balance, and even though the sun is the most massive object in our planetary neighborhood, other planets are participating in this gravitational tug-of-war.
Okay.
Instead of orbiting the sun, planets and moons orbit around a central point between them and our star. This point is called the barycenter. For Earth, this barycenter is so close to the sun's core that there's not much of a difference, but for Jupiter, this point is about 55,000 kilometers away from the center of the sun. So the gas giant and the sun are orbiting each other. Earth appears round from space, but it's actually an irregularly shaped ellipsoid.
There's no picture I've seen of Earth that looks like that. It's a round sphere.
It bulges at the equator thanks to the centrifugal force caused by our planet's spin.
Okay,
As a result,
I can see
Earth
that making
is about
sense.
43 kilometers wider at the equator than it is at the poles.
So it's more.
This makes gravity at
like
the bulge
that?
slightly weaker, making it easier to launch spaceships from the equatorial regions than from the poles.
Huh.
In space, no one can hear you scream. That's only true to a point.
Really?
Sound needs a medium to travel through, and in space, molecules are very far apart, so the sound fades away before it can get very far.
Huh.
All the cosmic catastrophes, supernovas, and colliding black holes go quiet before you can hear them.
Oh, that is pretty,
but some
but
places
super
in
bright.
space have a lot of particles for sound to travel through. Like the hot gas cloud around the black hole at the center of the Perseus galaxy cluster.
What does that
It
sound in my
has so
ears?
much gas that you can actually hear the black hole. This is what it sounds like. You know,
That was a black hole? What?
actually hear the black hole. This is what it sounds like. You know, other planets
That
make
sounds
noise
terrifying.
too. If you could hear them, do you know what they would sound like? Well, that's a story for another What If.
I feel like I just got railed in the ears with information that is hard for me to accept and understand because I'm an adult and I was lied to about things and I don't appreciate that. Hey, what if you could hear planets? Maybe that's another one. If you want me to check it out, just let me know. But that was really cool. I think the trippiest thing was the sun being green. That bothers me. That bothers me a lot. But let me know what you thought the trippiest thing was that you were lied to about, that you found out about in this video. Let me know down below. And you know what? Perfect. That's all. Hey, there we go. Later, y'all.